Okay, so we're gonna do a portfolio review for the Time Burner. You guys know I'm on Discord. Mackenzie, what's up? It's going well. My eyes burn, but everything else is good. I need food. I think I'm hungry. Anywho, let's look at this work, and then we'll get on to the Discord critiques, which is actually quite a few because I left it open all night. And then I will probably have to go for lunch. And then when I come back, we're going to be focusing on the scene some more. Just to give you a quick peek of the scene, where it's at currently. Um, a sec here. Am I really quiet? Hang on. How's that? We're supposed to really get this mic close to your face, so maybe I'm not close enough. Okay, so yeah, before we get going on the portfolio review, after portfolio review and the critiques, we will look into what to do next in this scene. Right now, I'm in love with this little puddle area. I kind of want to add some more things like this, but maybe I should spend some time blocking some stuff out. Radio quality now. Oh shit, son. Welcome to the Empire. Yeah, so let's get on to the review. So, this is an aspiring artist, Manila, Philippines. Dude, I believe my dad is from Manila. And came to the U.S. and met my mom in high school. And then they had me. And then later, my brother and my sister. A little background story. Let's see what's going on here. So we've got some weapons, we got a prop, and some tanks. And those tanks look pretty serious. Cool story, Bob. In a world where movie trailers are all narrated by one man, one voice. This looks pretty good. I say pretty good. This is damn good. I mean, there's some sharp edges. You guys know me and bevels. You got some edges here that could really use some beveling and stuff like that. Call out Tim. Where are you, bro? In general though, this is pretty solid. It looks like you did your research and you knew where like all the details are supposed to be. And yeah, other than like the body here in this shot looks like it's blocked out, right? Versus like all these other things, all the other parts, like that has a really nice like gradation bevel there, and especially here and here. Where they meet kind of has a hard edge, and I assume like maybe something similar to a round edge shader or welding those together and adding a weld pattern would be helpful. Need some panel lines as well. Yeah, definitely. And I think for the most part, panel lines tend to come in post. You don't really need to model the panel lines necessarily, which is good. Because, man, that can get pretty tedious. What's up, John? How you doing? Welcome, everyone, from the host. Hope everyone is doing fine. It's Friday, right? Is it Friday? Dude, that's when you know vacation's been too long. I don't know what day it is. Yeah. So this is pretty dope. Let me look at these other ones. So the body here actually has a little bit more of a bevel to it. It's small still, but it's there at least. Oh, it looks really, really good right here. Like that's kind of the bevel width that I would like to see. And like this is some panel line work with the bolts and stuff. That can still probably be added in like Substance Painter, for example, or the Quixel Suite. the was it? It's not Endu. I just call it Quixel Suite now, but yeah, the Endu portion of the Quixel Suite. So you just stamp these height maps down to create this type of detail, and then you don't even have to worry about it. Even this piece, possibly, as long as you have a good enough kit of height maps to do that. But yeah, I mean, I really like the attention to smaller details, but then the large areas of space for your eyes to rest on. And that's why I suggest doing your panel line stuff. Wait, I just got here. Too late, bro. No, we just started, so you're fine. So the panel lines here are, it's good that they're not here because it's really easy to take panel lines too far or those types of details and end up destroying areas where your eyes have a chance to rest. So by adding it in post after the bakes, it's going to be pretty good just because you can then control the depth of them just within the opacity on that layer, or just remove them or erase them altogether when it's going too far. And then I don't know if this was planned for a bake. This is obviously made a year ago, right? So I don't know if it's planned for a bake, but these edges here, if you think about how a normal bakes, right? It's going to be facing this. Let's see if I can do this. Just going to make some stuff really quick. So when you do a normal matte bake, these details get baked like this, right? So if you look at a top view, that's how the bake ends up happening. So there's going to be basically no side information because normal maps don't work like that. So by scaling, I'm going to do this even a little bit more. By scaling those details in even just a little bit so that you get this side, your normal maps are actually going to end up looking much better because of it. So you can imagine that's a normal, right? Versus like if it was just flat on. Yeah, this looks dope. Like I would do that with the bolts as well as like these larger pieces if the idea was to bake. All right, next tank. Oh, next tank is oh man, what is going on? Wait, what? Now I have to go back. There we go. Okay. This tank has more panel line, or like I wouldn't call these panel lines, but yeah, Ricky, that's good. That's good you're covering that. It's good to hear it twice, right? Really lets it sink in. Just being careful about repetitive patterns. I think in the real one, repetitive patterns are probably there, so it's probably fine. And how you end up breaking that up is in the texturing, like rust in certain areas or dirt that's a different pattern here than here. And then the camouflage patterns if the tank is camouflaged. So with modeling like this, it's now become so easy to texture these even without UVs. So I would suggest maybe doing some material studies on stuff like this. I mean, this is a year ago, so I mean, I wouldn't go back just to do that. Just thinking about like if you're showing gray models like this, even just adding a little bit of specular highlights or getting the roughness so that you can see like the light wrapping around the geometry will give you a lot of added benefits and visual detail for free almost. So this one's 10 months ago, so we're starting to get into more like more recent stuff. And I'm no weapons expert. You guys know this. I always say that every time I critique a weapon. But Yeah, one thing I'm really liking about this is the roughness variation. So I can tell that this material is different from this material. Not only in the normal information that's happening, but just the way that the highlights are occurring through the roughness. It's a pretty clean weapon, except for this front area, and it also looks like there might be like a normal information there that's tiling a little too much. And a strange, maybe a seam here, like a mirroring seam in your normal. Text looks really nice on the side. It lacks a ton of detail if you look at the reference. So if you're, I mean, I guess it's kind of debatable as to how you handle that, but like, I would suggest maybe adding the reference at the very end. And if you feel like you have to say that it lacks a ton of detail, you either shouldn't put it in your portfolio, because then it's technically in your eyes not done, and you end up having to explain it to people every time. So either commit to what it looks like here, or put it in a blog post or something. You know what I mean? That way, because you shouldn't have to explain your work in that sense. Because to me, I mean, if you wouldn't have said anything, I mean, I'm no gun enthusiast or hardcore gun person, so I don't know. Looks cool to me, and I'm looking at the more of the technical execution, I guess. Have you ever held a P90? 10 months ago, huh? Yeah, I held down the trigger on a P90 once. Unloaded an entire clip into a target. That is a terrifying gun. Not that other guns aren't terrifying, but you know. So this one's 6 months ago. This looks pretty cool. Roughness variation and material variation is pretty nice. I like the resolution of the micro detail. I mean, maybe the one on top is a little tight. Like the rail on the top here. I don't know if that's a rail. It's kind of like a rail, right? I mean, the rail needs to be extended out a little bit further so things can actually attach to it. But is it pretty normal for the size on this side to be different from this one? Like, I feel like this top one should be close to this size. The grooves. Them grooves. In general, this looks pretty cool, though. It looks more stylized and realistic just based off of like how the material is reacting to the lighting. But technically, it's executed quite well. It's all a matter of like how you want to, what the end goal is. Are you going for realistic? Are you going for a stylized, semi-realistic look? Like, you could take this, add a few like stickers or some custom decal paint stuff on there, add a cell shade on the outside, and you're looking at some Borderlands type stuff. That's how stylized it's starting to come off, to me at least. But again, I'm no gun guy. You should talk to Ricky in chat and in the Discord about this, and others. Of course, there's other gun badasses in the Discord. And then yes, the sniper rifle. So right off the bat, the materials on this look like blockout materials. Like you've just thrown materials on to know what's what. Like you're trying to get some separation and figure out what this material is and what this material is. I like the kind of waviness of the eye cap. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that looks like it's had any type of love material-wise is this area right here. Just because there's smaller attentions to detail and stuff. The wood, I see that there's attention to detail, so I'm just going to assume that was like, this was your pass on the wood. it looks really saturated, and the roughness variation on it, it's a little, it might just be the saturation. There's some bevels that are pretty, like back here, that's pretty sharp. This material is very, like, I'm not sure what that material is. It's very strange. But nonetheless, cool. It's well executed modeling and baking wise. It looks like for a majority of your work, it's like this material is looking pretty nice. But for the other guns, I think that's where your weakness is right now, is materials. So focusing on getting your materials nice. This is a vector. Yeah, Chris Vector. This one looks pretty nice. I mean, this is coming off like a rubber. Your micro normal information is actually really cool to see. There's the rail we were looking for. RJ, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, Freezy. But yeah, definitely listen to the guys in chat as well. They're I can vouch for their critiquing abilities. They know what they're talking about. Yeah, this gun's sick. So the attention to smaller details on here. This was 3 months ago, so I can tell that you've been growing. Just as an artistic choice, this material here and this material, I feel like this little spot here could use that same kind of material treatment, or like just not have the camo on it. But that might just be me. So when you're doing images like this, these two, they take up so much space in the actual presentation that I would actually just turn these into one image. Whoops. Turn them into one image and put them next to each other. So you have one here and one here. Oh, this one's pretty cool. Man, that micro detail is pretty intense. While that micro detail is there, I think in the really, really small pits, if those pits are in your roughness, I would try and lighten them up a little bit more so that they merge in with the rest of it, because that pitting should be handled by the normal, and it might be, and I'm just seeing it wrong. And it's okay to have it in your roughness. Just make sure that it's not like right all there, I guess, or that most of the work is being done with the normal map on that type of stuff. Just because the pits they're so dark in the highlight. Where's the regular first person view? That is a good question. There's a lot of repetitive imagery in here. So like, I know that you're showing both skins. You could put them next to each other and just submit it high res. And seeing these could be in the same image as well. I actually think you only need maybe like 2 images of the camo version, because it'll cut the image count down quite drastically if you just remove most of them. Very nice. Yeah, and a first person view would be really, really good to have. Nothing is better than actually seeing hands hold it as well, you know what I mean? Oh, also, heads up, guys. I haven't posted it yet, but there's going to be a new donation thing down here. And this is going directly to stuff we're going to end up working on in the stream. I'm going to buy Agisoft through donations, and we're going to figure out how to do photogrammetry. Like, I haven't even dived into it before, so it's going to be a huge learning experience, actually. I think it's $180, something like that. Dude, yeah. This model's cool. All right, onward. So this asset is pretty awesome. And I'm confused as to why these images here are at the end. Like, these ones should be at the top. And then also the color variations. I mean, it's weird, man. So color variations are so easy to do that it's almost worth just doing the colored version in its best case scenario and then not even showing this one. Or just showing this one. You know what I mean? The glass normal is very strong on the glass. The normal that's on the glass is very strong. And I think to get some variation between the rust and the paint is to get the detail to soften out in the paint so that the rust can shine through. The rust can shine through. You like that? You see what I did there? Terrible. So the rust has a bit of noise, but somehow the paint has more. Rust is pretty crunchy. Usually, anyways. Let me read chat here for a second. Oh, what do I think is best of the lanterns? So I think just the metal one is better because the painted one brings in too many attributes where I see like choices were made versus like automated process for a material. I do like the paint one, and maybe if the paint wasn't as noisy, then it would be better. If the paint wasn't as noisy and then you could show the metal, the rust, and the paint, then you have three, well, and the glass as well if you want to get picky about it, and the little wick inside. You have 3 to 4 separate roughness ranges that you can play with in the painted one. It's just the paint is very, very noisy. This was done 2 months ago as well. So your modeling skills... Oh, yeah, see, in this view, it's looking pretty nice. And I think if you lower the noise on the paint, this would look really good. So I'd actually... I would use the paint one, clean up the paint, normal information. Use this image, and this image. And the rest, you don't need. Like these close-ups, you don't need those. Because all they're going to do is show the resolution. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So now that I'm looking at this, just to kind of end on this portfolio, I don't know if you want to be a props artist, a vehicle artist, or a weapons artist. And you can be all of those at once. It really depends where you work. If you're at a AAA studio, it's usually you have to pick one because you become very specialized in AAA. If it's more of an indie studio or a startup studio, you will probably have to pick up 1 or 2 to 3 roles when it comes to stuff like this. So if you're good at hard surface, they'll probably throw some vehicles at you as well. Or they'll have like their one vehicle artist, and maybe you support the vehicle artist when when it's needed. So knowing what you want to be, it says aspiring artist. I don't know what that means. I know that it means that you want to be in games. What's up, Tobias? But I don't know that you want to be a weapons props artist or a vehicle artist. Vehicle weapons artist. Yeah, vehicle weapons artist is pretty common. In AAA, it gets really particular. Like at the high end of AAA, they outsource vehicles usually. Depending, though. Depending. There's so many variables. How many vehicle jobs are there? I have no idea, man. I know that if you're making a racing game, for example, dealing with licensing on a vehicle can be millions of dollars just to have the vehicle in your game. And then the game is 3D scanned from like every angle possible. It's just, it's turned into its photogrammetry to the max. And then is sent to a group of people to clean it up and actually make a mesh out of it. And then it gets really particular. There's so many legal problems, like if you have like the steering wheel is not the right steering wheel for that car, blah blah blah. But this is a tank, right? The only thing you have to worry about is that you have the rights to use that tank in your game. Yeah. So I think what I would like to see is a clear definition of what you want to be, and then working on your materials, and then getting all of that kind of together and building a scene. You don't have to build a scene if you're a weapons and vehicle artist, because I think that's what you really want to be. Just kind of looking at this. I would just work on your materials. Recipe, oh, dude, you have no idea. It's crazy. Yeah. This is looking, it's a strong portfolio, though. Just better material work. Some textured vehicles. And clarity as to what you is. What you is. Anyways, all right. I'm going to switch over, and then we're going to look at the Discord stuff. I'll be right back. And yeah.